A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.
Who is the next to lead the city of Davenport? We talk with the two candidates running for the city's top office, Rita Rawson and Mike Matson, on The Cities. Davenport Mayor Frank Klipsch announced months ago that he wouldn't run for re-election, opening up a six-person race that included two city council members. This month, those two aldermen received the most primary votes and are facing each other in the November election. We got a chance to talk with Rita Rawson and Mike Matson about their candidacies and their positions, from economic development to crime to a flood wall. We start with Rita Rawson. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided now was the time you wanted to run for mayor.
I'm originally from Kansas City. I ended up in Iowa in 1986. I went to Grinnell College as an independent student and earned a bachelor's degree. Decided to stay in Iowa because I really liked the state and the environment here, and went on ahead to earn a master's degree at the University of Iowa and started a business in 1998 here in Davenport, and I've just stayed. I've liked the community. Actually moved my mother up here to live with me in 2001. I took care of her. She had Alzheimer's. I was her caregiver for 12 years and was very involved in the community during this whole time. I worked closely with the NETS officers starting in 2001 all the way to 2008 on crime and criminal activity in the neighborhoods, and then eventually volunteered down at the police station in crime prevention for over 4 years. Did a lot of work with community groups, started some community groups myself, a lot of neighborhood activism. And what I've learned throughout that time was some of the things I wanted to work on was I noticed that the city of Davenport really doesn't have a growth factor attached to it. And then I also wanted to work on a lot of the abandoned and blighted housing that existed across the city. It needed to be tackled. And if we could tackle that, get more families moving into our neighborhoods, increase that tax base, get the houses back on the tax rolls, we would have a lot more flexibility in the city. So one of the reasons I ran for council was those reasons. I had spent over a decade working with the police department on crime and criminal activity, and then subsequently had done some work with neighborhood housing, and at the time United Neighbors regarding housing issues across the city, and those were some interests that I had when I first got on council. And what I ran on the platform of neighborhood revitalization has eventually turned into a #1 council goal, and this past July was the culmination of the DREAM project, which went live July 1st, and that program has been so incredibly popular. We were overwhelmed with applications, so it tells us that the community is hungry for that kind of attention from the city, and they have a passion around wanting to see their neighborhoods be more than they are now.
Mike Matson, why you decided to run for mayor? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, Jim. So I grew up here and spent most of my life through high school, and then I decided to go into the Army, and I spent 20 years serving our country in the Army. At the time, 2003, my wife and I, we had 4 little children. I had just come back from a tour in Afghanistan, and we decided that it's time to settle down somewhere because our oldest son had spent now his 10th house, was living in his 10th house. So we said, time to settle down. So an opportunity presented itself back here in Davenport, Iowa. So I applied to teach the JROTC program at Davenport Central, got accepted, and now for the 17th year I've been at Davenport Central. And I became an alderman because my neighbors and I and my parents and others were concerned about what was going on, and quite frankly one of our close neighbors was not keeping his place up. So we had a neighborhood group and we were talking, and they said, Mike, why don't you run? So 12 years ago I decided to put my hat in the ring for the city council. I've been doing that forever because I think it's important for people to have a say and be involved in their community. And my lifetime of public service, I just think it's important that people get involved. And so when Mayor Klipsch decided that he was going to step aside, I said, I love this city, I love Davenport and the community, and I wanted to help if I could, be a representative for everyone in Davenport, My time in the Army, I look at it, when I was a team leader, I represented 4 soldiers, and as I moved up through the ranks, I represented and looked out for hundreds, quite frankly, at many different levels. And now, representing 2 different wards as my time on the City Council, I'd like to represent Davenport and then look out for the entire community, because I believe in the place. I think it's a wonderful place to live, work, and raise your family. And so if I can help take Davenport to the next level and continue the momentum, then I'd like to do so.
Let's start with one of the big issues for the Quad City area, and particularly Davenport. I mean, you don't live in an isolated area, but you do talk about crime, and it does cross the river.
Sure.
It crosses city boundaries. Mike, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Number of shots fired calls have been
Right.
happening since Friday. Most distressing, of course, somebody being injured, 2 people being injured last night, but also shots fired near Brady Street Stadium on Friday after a football game. Are you worried about the safety of the citizens of Davenport? Do you think that this is just one of those little blips, or do you fear that something worse is happening?
Well, I think much of the shots fired are targeted. And I think Rita and I both, we have a lot of conversations with the police. And our police department, in my opinion, is doing a great job. But I firmly believe that any elected official, city council, mayor, or any level, number 1 priority is look out for the safety of their citizens. And any way I or the city council, and if I'm honored to be mayor, is to advocate for and provide the resources needed to our police department and others and the tools to stop this. I think it's our job to advocate for and provide a safe, welcoming, and stable community. And if I'm mayor, that would be and has been my number 1 priority. So if I'm mayor, we will do everything we can, working with the city council, because that's very important. The mayor has to be able to do that, to get the tools needed to stop this, because it's not acceptable. And we have put some programs in place. The city council has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the new NIMBY system to identify the shell casings quicker, so we can identify these people that are doing these things. And you mentioned Brady Street Stadium Friday night. I was there at the game. And the community comes together like we do in many things, and that's just not acceptable. So I would also like to maybe find other things that other cities are doing and other tools that we can provide to the police department and other departments, quite frankly, to stop this.
Because there are programs out there. Davenport is not leading a blind eye to this. I mean, is it that the programs aren't effective enough, or is it just that this is just another quick spate of violence that we see from time to time?
Well, I'm going to say yes and no. So Alderman Mattson is correct in that, I've spent a lot of time actually volunteering with the police department, and I think this recent spate of shots fired, and even after my conversation with the chief yesterday, they're investigating whether or not these are related, because a lot of times it's a retribution sort of thing with specific groups that are in the city. And if you've noticed over time, we've had these incidences where we'll have a week or 2 where things seem to escalate for whatever reason. The police department is really good, and Chief Sikorsky is really good about getting his team organized and out there and really drilling down on who the people are that are causing these problems in the community and getting them arrested. And their behavior, as Alderman Mattson says, is completely inappropriate and not acceptable. For any of us that are in office, all of us care very much that we have lower crime stats and lower criminal activity. And I think one of the hallmarks, since I've been in office is all the police officers now have body cameras. We have license plate reader technology, and of course the NIBIN machine, which cuts down on the evidence processing. But our police department is also one of 10 departments that's been chosen across the country to participate in the Department of Justice program. And I actually went on and spent some time reading through their website. The other cities that they have worked with over the last few years have had tremendous success in reducing criminal activity, gang activity, and also reducing the illegal use of firearms.
It was a major move to have the feds actually come in. I mean,
yes,
that's not,
it was. It was
it's
a
not Davenport
compliment.
saying we can't deal with it, is it?
Yes, it was the DOJ looking at us and saying, okay, this community qualifies for our services, and they actually have a department that's not only accredited, but they're willing to step up and do what it takes to make a difference. And so they're here. So the next 3 years, that program will run. So I really am looking forward to really a reduction in crime and criminal activity that we should see over the next 3 years.
But as you know, there's been studies spearheaded by St. Ambrose University that have dealt with racial profiling and trying to like clean up certain neighborhoods that perhaps were not appropriately done. Is that
Yes.
a fear of yours as well? Because I mean, as you say, you're crediting the police for good police work, but sometimes the methods may not be what the neighborhoods want.
I think it's less, I go back to, a lot of these things are interconnected when we look at crime and criminal activity. So it's a community issue. It's not, we can't just lay it at the police department's feet and say, okay, you all take care of this problem for us. So when I talk about dealing with issues of blighted housing and improving our neighborhoods, I'm also talking about when we do that, when we get more families in the neighborhood to live here, we actually affect many things. It's a ripple effect. The more people we have moving into these neighborhoods, taking up some of these houses that are currently blighted or abandoned, the more kids we have in the neighborhood, that reduces the chance of having a school closed south of Locust. It reduces crime and criminal activity. It creates an environment where people who are prone or who want to participate in crime and criminal activity may not want to live in those neighborhoods because they know that there's a community of people there that not only know each other, they care about what happens. When you have neighborhoods that have blight or have empty spaces, that says to certain groups of people, hey, I can come here, I can hang out, I can act out and do what I want. And we want to clean up our neighborhoods across the city to affect that kind of change. But tied to that as well, there are, we're looking at the Juvenile Assessment Center. Hopefully that'll go live in a couple of years once we get funding secured. So that'll help with some of the youth. And in addition to that, we have the Restorative Justice Program that's been going on. That's a volunteer program for both the perpetrator and the victim. So there's several programs. There's a lot of organizations in the community that care, that want to be involved, that are involved working with our youth. And our police departments, if you've never done a ride-along, please do one. I would recommend that to everyone in the community. You can ride along with the police officers, especially on an evening shift, and it will really open your eyes to how our officers engage with our community, with all people in the community, and how they interact with them. Our police officers, for the most part, have a really good relationship with people in the community, and the people that they know best, they may have arrested 3 or 4 times, they also have a good relationship with those folks as well. It's quite interesting to be around that experience when you're out riding with them.
In many ways, she's hinting at community policing, grassroots policing. We've seen the Washington Street neighborhood really get involved in that, along with the addition of some cameras, some real diligent work by the residents there.
Jim, let me give you a good example. A few years ago, when I first became the 8th Ward Alderman, we had a problem in North Davenport, Americana Park, since it's called Goose Creek. And so me working with the neighbors, the NETS program, the landlords, parking enforcement, etc., we turned that neighborhood around. It does work when you put police in the neighborhoods, when you work with the residents, when you work with the neighbors. Both of us do that, but I have had experience specifically in one, probably or arguably the most crime-infested neighborhood in Davenport at the time, working with the landlords and bringing everybody together, especially the residents who live there that buy into the need to turn their neighborhood around, and using law enforcement as the tool to gather that and bring people together, and then of course the political will to do that. That's a great example. There are other examples in the city. We can do this with the help of our residents, and as mayor, I will ensure that, or try, working with the council to ensure that we put community policing as a priority.
We've had some questions, of course, regards flooding as well as the riverfront development. Mike, I'd like to start with you on that. We have experienced this 2019 flooding, the likes that we thought we would never see again, and we did. And this came just months after the River Vision plan for the downtown riverfront for LeClaire Park, a Mac Daddy plan for downtown Davenport to draw people in. Does this change those plans? I mean, does the ongoing problem with flooding make you want to invest less in the riverfront in LeClaire Park?
No, but we have had a forensic investigation by the Corps of Engineers, and the City Council has been briefed on that, what happened during the 2019 flood. And I believe that we should keep River Drive open, protect our investments in the downtown, and we're going to, I would like to, as mayor, and I think we're already working towards it, to bring in a firm, a consulting firm, engineer firm, to tell us exactly what we want to do for a permanent flood control plan. We have a pretty good flood plan now, and we update it all the time, and our staff is constantly working on it and updating the council on what to do. And over the years, we have adjusted and fixed that. So we have a great public-private potential partnership with the River Vision Addition or hybrid of River Vision, because I fully believe in River Vision and that our river is our best asset. But we need to protect our downtown and protect our investments and keep River Drive open. And when we talk about flood protection, we always seem to focus on the downtown, but the West End experiences floods at 13 feet.
Right.
We don't even think about that usually, and there's 12 pumps or more going on in the West End. Then of course we have the East Side, the Village area that has a different situation. So when we talk about permanent flood situations or plans, we need to talk about those three main parts, and probably there's a hybrid for each of them, i.e. we have Modern Woodward Park and we use the panels, maybe that fits into some particular areas. But if we can bring in, and I'm a fan of bringing in a firm, an engineering firm that specializes in riverfront protection. I attended a seminar with my wife in New Orleans a few years ago after Katrina, and they used Davenport as the example to work with the river as it comes and flows. To not put up a permanent flood wall on the river. So I would be an advocate for a hybrid solution, 3 different parts, keep River Drive open, and invest in or protect our investment.
I don't want to relitigate the flood of 2019, but there was a lot of controversy in regards to City Administrator Corey Spiegel's letter, and a lot of business people felt like they were betrayed, that the city in part was saying, hey, we did the best we could, but our job really isn't to protect your businesses. What say you now when you look back at that letter, and how does the city council deal with an issue when the city administrator makes a statement that you may not, or maybe you did, agree with?
I think the fundamental issue with the letter was one sentence in the letter, and I think that the way it was worded was poorly worded. It came across very poorly to the community, which caused the issues that followed. And I don't think by any means the city administrator or staff or the city council wanted to deliver that level of a message to the businesses. I actually am one of the businesses that was impacted by the flood. My office down on River Drive was closed for the better part of 3 months, and I could not access it. So I have I was personally affected by the flood this spring. So I had actually met with some of the business owners down there myself, being one of the business owners that was impacted. But I think that misstatement actually opened up good conversation for all of us all the way around, and actually created the ability to talk to each other and kind of get on the table some of the concerns on both sides. So I think the conversation going forward will be richer and deeper, related to what the businesses want to see downtown, what the community wants to see as far as flood protection across the entire expanse of the river. Because I would agree, I think the answer to the river isn't let's cage it and put a big wall up, because being a part of the mayor's the Rivers and Towns initiative, we don't want to flood our partners downstream, just like we don't want our partners upstream to flood us. So the response really should be, how can we work with the river going forward? Because it is our most beautiful amenity here in Davenport.
It's a major asset.
And we know it's going to flood every year. Mm-hmm. We just need to update our plan. And I've often mentioned to people that what we do around Modern Woodman Park with the walls, the metal walls, is such a really nice setup. It'd be nice if we could do something similar like that down by Bechtel Park to kind of get that first 2 blocks of downtown, because that area it dips pretty low. And then, of course, as Alderman Mattson had said, there's the West End that experiences flooding at a lower level, and of course the Village. But I think the final plan is going to be something that's diverse in as far as responses to which areas of the riverfront need what kind of flood protection. And right now there has been some forward progress on that. The Army Corps is reviewing an RFP now that will come to council hopefully sooner rather than later. I know everyone's anxious to hear something.
All right.
And then there's also the group looking at the water pollution control plant. That's another issue in relation to the flooding. We've got to keep that plant up and running, because it's not only Davenport that relies on it, but it's also other cities like Bettendorf that relies on our water pollution control plant.
Because earlier the Army Corps of Engineers said really the only thing that was feasible as far as monetarily for them was protecting the water plant, and that's what happened, and nothing else really happened other than that. I do need to move on, and one of the areas I wanted to talk about is economic development and infrastructure. One of Davenport's biggest successes was to keep the Kraft Heinz plant and to draw Sterilite to Davenport and to the industrial park on the north side. shovel ready was what made it, and
Yep.
quick response by staff made it. Is that the template of what you want to see for economic development for Davenport?
Well, yes, but I also think there's other opportunities for economic development, not just the big business on the outskirts of town. We have that plan in place, and that's working exactly the way it's supposed to. I think we're missing an opportunity in the older sections of town. I think we're missing a huge economic development opportunity along Rockingham Road, the Brady-Harrison corridor. If you've driven that lately, really from 53rd down to about Duck Creek, lots of opportunity there to get new business into our core of our community, as well as Locust Street. There's a number of blocks on Locust Street running all the way from really 6th Ward all the way over to 1st Ward that could use some additional commercial investment that could lift up the Locust Street as well.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to summarize and say, and I've actually taken some time because I am a business person, and I've talked to some of the businesses along the Brady corridor to see would they be interested in sitting down like as a focus group and coming up with some ideas of what they'd like to see for their businesses and what they'd like to see for their corridor. And a lot of them have mentioned to me they want that same kind of vibrancy that exists now in downtown, that the Downtown Davenport Partnership has pulled together. So there's also a need there on some of our commercial corridors, and the businesses that are there currently are wanting assistance to kind of take that next step forward.
So is the key small businesses?
Jim, I think it was 2 years ago, the state of Iowa recognized Davenport as the #1 small business community in the state because of how we approach bringing small business or working with the small business to increase their employers. We have worked hard to make Davenport an open and business-friendly community. A few years ago, we actually had a work session where we put on the wall paper and listed everything that a business has to go through to get a license here in Davenport. We cut that in half because Davenport wants to be, and I want to be, a welcoming community both for families and businesses. Speaking of the Kraft plant, I was one of the council folks that was on the conference call that kept Kraft Heinz here because it was not going to be acceptable to lose those jobs. And then to bring Sterilite and all those big businesses here is important, but the small businesses and increasing the jobs with those is where we need to make our money, and that's where I would put my effort in.
We just have a few moments left. Real quick lightning round, so to speak, and it's not necessarily a lightning round question that I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to start with you, Mike. Mayor Klipsch launched a real effort to make the commissions a little bit different, more answerable to the people and perhaps the city council that involved, like the Parks Board, the Civil Rights Commission, the Levy Commission. Did you agree with those changes, and would you like to pursue more of it?
So some of the changes, maybe I agree with, some I don't. I understand what he's trying to do. If I'm mayor, we're going to have a good vetting process for who gets on the commissions. I didn't like the way the Riverfront Improvement Commission was looked at and potentially looked at to be changed when he first came on, and the citizens spoke and that was adjusted. Some of the other commissions, like the Civil Rights Commission, is an independent commission. If I'm mayor, it will stay an independent commission. We will not input political folks into that, but all of them are important. And as mayor, we need to make sure that those commissions, because they do such a vital job for the city of Davenport, that the people on them are appreciated and we respect their service.
Rita, the changes were, for the most part, already made, but there could be future changes if you were mayor.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is one of the jobs of City Council is to review all of our ordinances and update those ordinances periodically. So we actually went through a process since I've been on council of looking at ordinances across the board. And in regards to boards and commissions, we actually eliminated 3 or 4 boards and commissions that were sort of defunct and no longer operating, and we combined some of those into current existing boards and commissions. So it's always good to review the boards and commissions to see if things are working well or if there needs to be improvements. And I think boards and commissions provide, for me, a really good balance, of checks and balances with our city government, with city council, and with staff. Because like with the Riverfront Improvement Commission, I am a proponent for having our resident volunteers be a part of this process. And if you really look at our boards and commissions, a lot of the decision making, a lot of the discussion happens at that level, like on planning and zoning board of adjustment. A lot of the conversations happen at the resident level. It's not always city council. We have the last say, but we certainly listen to and rely on the input from our citizens from all of those boards and commissions. So I think even all processes need to be reviewed. I think that's just a practical standpoint for running a business, whether it's a city, municipality, or if it's a company. Just looking at city council, we should review city council. We should have probably staggered elections, because having everybody up for election in the same year is a little bit chaotic. We should probably have term limits. Maybe terms that are longer, but have them specified to be a term limit, maybe 4-year terms for 2 terms, and then you're done. But there's some changes that we could probably implement on city council as well that need to be reviewed and presented to the public for feedback.
I have less than a minute left, so I need you to answer these ones quick, and I'll start with you, Rita. A lot of people say that the job of mayor is really a full-time job.
Yes, it is.
Are you ready to commit?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm currently self-employed. I'm partially retired already, and my business partner, who I have at my business, is ready to step in and take over. So I'm fully committed to a full-time job.
Mike Mattson's full-time job.
Absolutely, I'm committed. I'm going in eyes wide open. I fully understand the requirements of the mayor. Been on the council for 12 years. So I've been through 2 mayors, a whole bunch of council folks. I understand it. I'm willing to do it. I believe in Davenport, and I am totally committed to being the mayor of Davenport, Iowa.
That's Davenport mayoral candidates Rita Rawson and Mike Mattson. Early voting is already underway throughout Iowa in this nonpartisan election. There are mayoral races, city council races, school board races, and other municipal contests in each county in Iowa. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. Go to your county auditor's website to find sample ballots and the location of polling places near you. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT.
This is Out and About for October 21st through 27th. It's time for Davenport's Halloween Parade in downtown Davenport, October 26th at 2. Or check out Bettendorf's nighttime Halloween Parade at the Life Fitness Center at 7. LeClaire hosts the Witches Walk and Costume Parade the 26th at 1, while Lago Marcino's Coco Beano 5 and 10K begins at 9 on the 26th in the Village of East Davenport. There's a trivia night at Davenport's Knights of Columbus on the 26th at 6, plus Shock House at the QCCA Expo Center through the 26th, QC Haunted Forest in Port Byron through the 26th, Terror at Skellington Manor, a haunted attraction, through the 31st in Rock Island, and Moline's Factory of Fear through the 31st. For kids, there's the Fright Night in the Park at Schwiebert's Riverfront Park the 24th, Niabi Zoo's annual Merry Not Scary Boo at the Zoo October 26th and 27th. On stage, the Rocky Horror Show at the Speakeasy is through the 27th. The Spotlight Theater presents Billy Elliot the Musical through the 27th. Music at Butterworth presents the Harlem Quartet on the 22nd. Augustana Symphony Orchestra, Second City Symphony perform at Centennial Hall the 26th. St. Ambrose University's Fall Choir Concert takes place the 25th at Galvin Fine Arts. And Ballet Quad Cities present Dracula Unleashed at the Bartlett Performing Arts Center October 25th and 26th. For more information, visit WQPT.org.